I still remember the exact moment I realized I had made a $4,700 mistake. Not because an accountant called me, not because the IRS sent some terrifying letter, not because my bank account suddenly exploded. No. I was standing in a grocery store, staring at a pack of chicken breasts I couldn't afford. A year earlier, I had been bragging online about how freelancing changed my life. Freedom, flexibility, working from anywhere. No boss, no commute, no annoying office birthday parties. And somehow, despite making more money than I had ever made at any job, I was standing there calculating whether I could survive another week on instant ramen. The craziest part? I wasn't broke because I wasn't earning money. I was broke because I had completely misunderstood one thing about freelance taxes. One incredibly expensive mistake that cost me $4,700. And what happened next nearly ended my freelance career before it had really started. A few years ago, I was a freelance graphic designer living in a tiny apartment that looked like a combination of a startup office, a coffee shop, and a crime scene. There were empty coffee cups everywhere, 3 monitors on a desk I couldn't actually afford, a gaming chair that squeaked every time I moved, and enough charging cables to trap a small animal. At the time, I was obsessed with freelance success content. Every morning, I woke up and immediately consumed motivational videos. Escape the 9-to-5. Become your own boss. Make 6 figures online. Financial freedom. I watched all of it. I wasn't making much money yet. Maybe $1,500 a month. Sometimes less. Sometimes way less. But I was convinced I was one viral client away from becoming the next freelance success story. And honestly, things started improving surprisingly fast. I got better clients, better projects, better rates. The money started coming in. Not life-changing money, but enough money to make me feel like I was finally figuring things out. That feeling would become very important later, because confidence is amazing, until confidence turns into stupidity. And unfortunately, mine did. The first year of freelancing was pure chaos. Clients would message me at midnight. Projects would suddenly become emergencies. People would ask for one tiny revision that somehow turned into redesigning an entire website. If you're a freelancer, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. I became addicted to checking my email. Every notification felt like a potential paycheck. Every inquiry felt like opportunity. Every client felt like they might be the big one. Meanwhile, my friends with normal jobs had predictable paychecks, predictable schedules, predictable stress. I had unpredictable everything. One month, I'd make $2,000. The next month, I'd make $5,000. Then $1,800. Then $4,200. Then panic. Then excitement. Then panic again. Freelancing felt less like running a business and more like riding a roller coaster designed by someone who hated me. But slowly, the numbers started climbing. By the middle of the year, I had my first $6,000 month. I remember staring at my banking app, refreshing it, closing it, opening it again, refreshing it, like somehow the money might disappear. I called my friend. Dude, what? I just made $6,000. No way. Way. You're rich. I know. I was not rich. Not even close. But that's exactly where the problem started. Because when freelancers see money hit their account, something weird happens. The money feels available. It feels earned. It feels spendable. And that's dangerous. At first, I was responsible. Mostly. Then, lifestyle inflation showed up. A nicer desk. A better monitor. A newer phone. More subscriptions. More software. More takeout food. More random purchases that felt justified because it's an investment. Apparently, Everything becomes a business investment when you're a freelancer. Coffee? Business investment. New keyboard? Business investment. Fancy hoodie? Creative productivity enhancement tool. At least that's what I told myself. Meanwhile, the income kept growing. $4,000 months became normal. Then $5,000. Then $7,000. I felt unstoppable. What I wasn't paying attention to was a number quietly growing in the background. Taxes. A number I pretended didn't exist, because ignoring scary things is a surprisingly common financial strategy among freelancers, and a terrible one. One afternoon, I was working at a coffee shop when another freelancer sat down next to me. We started talking. Talking turned into complaining. Complaining turned into comparing income, as freelancers do. Eventually, he asked a question. "You paying quarterly taxes?" I laughed. Actually laughed, like he had told a joke. He didn't laugh. That's when I should have gotten concerned. Instead, I said something incredibly intelligent. "Nah, I'll figure it out later." He stared at me. For a second, I thought maybe I had food on my face. Then he said something I'll never forget. That's exactly what I said before I got destroyed. Interesting choice of words. Did I investigate further? Absolutely not. I continued drinking overpriced coffee and acting like future me would solve everything. Future me was about to hate present me. Over the next several months, business exploded. One client referred another client, then another, then another. Suddenly, I was busier than ever. I started having freelancer problems I dreamed about. Too many projects, too many emails, too many opportunities. I thought I'd won. The problem was I had become obsessed with revenue. Not profit, not taxes, not cash flow. Revenue. The big number. The sexy number. The screenshot-worthy number. I was tracking income like a sports fan tracks scores. Meanwhile, expenses, savings, and taxes were basically invisible. Every dollar entering my account felt like mine. Every single dollar. That assumption would eventually cost me $4,700. But first, things got even weirder. The turning point happened during tax season, a phrase that now causes mild emotional damage. I sat down one Saturday morning with a giant coffee and a ridiculous amount of confidence. I expected taxes to take maybe an hour, maybe 2. How hard could it be? I had invoices, bank statements, a spreadsheet I barely understood. Everything was under control. Or so I thought. Then I started entering numbers. Income, expenses, deductions, more income, even more income. Suddenly, the software showed a number. I stared at it. Blink, blink, refresh, blink. The number stayed exactly the same. I thought the software was broken. Surely it was broken. Software breaks all the time. I restarted everything, entered everything again. Same number. I owed thousands. Thousands. Not hundreds. Thousands. I felt my stomach drop. The kind of drop you feel when a roller coaster suddenly disappears beneath you. I remember whispering, "No way." Then louder, "No way." Then approximately 20 more times. Still, no way. But unfortunately, it was very much way. I called an accountant. Please tell me there was a mistake. There wasn't. Please tell me the software was wrong. It wasn't. Please tell me some magical freelancer loophole exists. It didn't. Then came the question that destroyed me. Have you been setting aside money for taxes? Silence. Long silence. Painfully long silence. The kind of silence that answers the question. The accountant sighed. Not loudly, just enough. That sigh cost me years of life expectancy. The reality hit me immediately. The money was gone. Not stolen, not hacked, not scammed. Spent. I had spent money that technically was never mine. The government had simply allowed me to temporarily hold it, and I had treated it like bonus cash. That realization was horrifying, because now I had a massive tax bill and nowhere near enough saved. I opened my banking app. Reality check. Not enough. Savings account? Not enough. Emergency fund? Basically decorative. I had built a freelance business, but I hadn't built a financial system. And now, the bill had arrived. The next few weeks were brutal. I stopped sleeping properly. Every notification felt stressful. Every expense felt painful. Every client delay felt catastrophic. I became obsessed with numbers. I calculated everything. Rent, food, subscriptions, debt, upcoming payments. I built spreadsheets that looked like conspiracy theories. At one point, I had so many financial tabs open that my laptop started lagging. Even my computer was overwhelmed. Then, things got worse. One of my biggest clients delayed payment. Of course they did, because life enjoys timing. The invoice was worth thousands, and suddenly, it wasn't arriving. I emailed, nothing. Followed up, nothing. Waited, nothing. The money I needed was floating somewhere in client limbo. Meanwhile, the tax deadline kept approaching. Every day felt like a countdown clock. I genuinely started wondering whether freelancing was a mistake. Maybe the people warning me were right. Maybe self-employment wasn't freedom. Maybe it was just anxiety with Wi-Fi. I spent nights lying awake staring at the ceiling, thinking, calculating, regretting. And that's when I finally made a decision. I was done pretending, done improvising, done treating freelancing like a hobby. If I wanted a real business, I needed to act like a real business owner, because the alternative was becoming another freelancer success story that quietly failed behind the scenes. The first thing I did was separate my finances. Immediately. Every payment from clients got divided. Business money, tax money, personal money, emergency money. No exceptions, no excuses. No pretending. I automated everything because I had learned something important. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are reliable. The second thing I did was work with a professional. Best decision ever. Turns out accountants are significantly cheaper than tax mistakes. Who knew? The third thing I did was build a genuine emergency fund. Not a pretend emergency fund. Not a I'll start next month fund. A real one. Slowly things stabilized. The tax bill got handled. The stress decreased. The business improved. Ironically, once I stopped obsessing over revenue and started managing money properly, I became more profitable. The business grew, clients improved, cash flow improved. My anxiety dropped dramatically. Not completely. I'm still a freelancer. Some anxiety is apparently included with the subscription. But things became manageable. And most importantly, I stopped making decisions based on financial panic. Looking back, losing $4,700 wasn't actually the most painful part. The most painful part was realizing the mistake was completely avoidable. Nobody tricked me. Nobody scammed me. Nobody sabotaged me. I simply didn't understand how freelance taxes actually worked. I was focused on earning money, not keeping money. And that's a lesson almost every freelancer learns eventually. Some learn it from a YouTube video. Some learn it from an accountant. And some learn it while standing in a grocery store, wondering whether chicken is suddenly a luxury item. I was definitely the third person. Today, every time a client payment hits my account, I smile. Then a portion immediately gets moved into my tax account. No debate, no temptation, no drama. Because I already paid $4,700 for that lesson once. And trust me, that was more than enough tuition. The funny thing is, losing that money probably saved me from losing a lot more later. And honestly, that's a trade I'd take every single time.